This is the most realistic FPS I've ever played. So, Bodycam has a playtest going on right now. If you're unfamiliar with what Bodycam is, it's the realistic Bodycam FPS that isn't unrecord, but is essentially the same thing, but multiplayer PvP with a few different game modes on a few different maps. So, I grabbed a few friends, jumped in, and for an early look at an alpha, I thought it was pretty cool, but basically played and looked the same as when I played it last. I think with a lot of love and care, it can really turn into something, and it's coming out next week. Got it. Now, granted, Bodycam is launching into early access on June 7th, and honestly, the game is just kind of okay right now, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong. We ran into some issues with lobbies and grouping and the general kind of UI. Oh, I actually can't click anything, what the hell?
You know, my screen's all like fuzzy, it won't let me do anything. I think I have to like Alt F4.
Yeah.
All right, I can't actually pick anything, I got Alt F4
Oh,
again.
do we have to restart?
I do. I don't know about you guys, but...
Oh, you crashed my game by Alt F4ing. We love that for us.
Dude, love that for us. Bro, why do I always end up back in windowed?
Oh yeah, it reverts all my settings.
Bro,
I have to go through all my settings again.
Actual dog shit. The game itself is definitely serviceable at this point, but I will say, be ready to have to play quite a few games to actually get the hang of the player controller. It is a completely different experience. Bringing some people into the fray with me, after the first two games, they weren't really enjoying it.
Up top. Second floor.
Run!
On me.
Oh, nice.
The gun spray.
I hate this game. Honestly, absolutely hate how this game controls. The worst fucking movement ever.
But if you give it time and you actually start to kind of learn the player controller, learn the aiming, it is janky at first, but once you start to learn it, it actually is pretty unique, and it's serviceable for sure. There were multiple times where we were trying to group up, start a lobby, and I just couldn't choose maps as a host. There's just a lot of UI and UX issues requiring us to Alt F4, restart up, regroup up, and jump back in. The game feels like it's kind of put together with duct tape with all of these different systems. But once you get into a game itself, I actually have a pretty decent time with it. The visuals, I mean, you guys are seeing on screen here, very realistic, very cool. The audio is some of the best that I have heard in an FPS when it comes to that realistic, like ear-ringing, guns and bullets ricocheting, shell casings dropping and hitting the floor next to you. Like, it is as realistic as they come if you were looking for that Bodycam style gameplay. The maps, on the other hand, are fucking dog shit. Tumblewood, the forest level, is literally unplayable in my opinion. There's no visible map landmarks or boundaries, so you're just kind of in a forest. Like, the only landmark I guess you could say would be this cliffside over here, but that's it. And because there's no map boundaries, you can just end up running into the forest and then hitting an invisible wall. And I will say, like, just looking at this map through this body cam, everything's so fucking dark. There's different, like, times of day and stuff like that, but I found as we played through the map and the time of day switched, the weather switched, it was just really hard to play that fucking map through the lens of a body cam. The best map in the game right now is the Warren House, in my opinion, because there's clear lanes, there's clear callouts. You can be outside, you can be on the roof, second floor, first floor. There's a semblance of a map here that I think lends itself well enough to TDM or objective-based gameplay. The Airsoft House is a cool looking map, but I will say, trying to figure out the player controller while aiming through these small windows, it's a little bit of a tough map to get used to. If you're just don't start on this map, jump into it at a later point when you have the basic mechanics nailed. But yeah, the game is going to early access on June 7th, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit shocked about. I want to go through their store page and talk about what this game is, where it's at right now, and where they want to take it in the future. So if you guys don't know, this game is only developed by 2 developers, a 17 and a 20-year-old, which is actually insane. It's being built on Unreal Engine 5, and according to what they say, they have pushed the boundaries of photorealism, and I actually agree. This is one of the most realistic-looking shooters on the market. Now, here's where things get a little bit weird for me, because they anticipate that Bodycam will be in early access for about 6 to 12 months, depending on community feedback and the improvements we want to make. That's always a red flag for me. 6 to 12 months in early access when you have a game that is this early is I just don't believe it. Don't think you're going to be done this game in a year. I hope you don't, because there's a lot of things that you're going to need to do to take this game to a level where I would hope the developers want to take it, in which people are coming back day in and day out to play the game. So the current state of early access gives you 3 game modes. You have deathmatch with up to 10 players, team deathmatch, which is 5v5, and then you have the competitive body bomb mode 5v5, which we played a couple of times, but we didn't really understand. Like, I think you can plant the bomb anywhere on the map. We were a little confused by how that worked. We weren't a big fan of it. You have shotguns, submachine guns, assault rifles, flashbangs, grenades, with additional weapons planned post-release. But then when you talk about like how the full version is going to be planned to differ from the early access version, they say currently the early access version is in an advanced state of development with exceptional graphics and smooth and intuitive gameplay. So that didn't really answer the question, like, what's the game going to look like in a year's time? You say you're going to be in early access for 6 to 12 months. What's the full version going to look like? For me, dude, you guys need to give us something to work towards and play the game, because the aesthetic of the Bodycam experience, like, that will wear off very quickly. Players are going to play for, 5, 10, 15 hours, and then that's really going to be it if there's nothing to do. Are there ranks in the game? Are there going to be, is there going to be cosmetics? Are you, like, what are you actually going to be doing in the game outside of just jumping in and team deathmatching with your friends? Which, by the way, like, we had a decent time, but by the end of the night, it was just like, yeah, like, we've seen everything the game has to offer. And I would hope the developers don't want that to be the case when the game comes out. I don't quite know what the price is going to be either, but like, what's going to keep people in this ecosystem? Or is that your intent? Are you just wanting to put a cool little project out, charge, I don't know, $5-10, and then, like, that's it? Like, what's the actual plan, and what are we going to end up doing in this game? Because right now, I would say that you're probably in an alpha state, and if you're going to early access 6 to 12 months, chances are the game is never going to get out of that alpha feeling state, because there's just a lot of things that you have to do. So with that, I'm sitting here thinking, like, okay, the Bodycam gimmick, it works. It definitely works, but I think that gimmick is going to wear on people very, very quickly if you don't come with a steady slew of content, updates, patches, and a game that can actually facilitate, longevity and long-term gameplay. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of indie developers make. And for a game like this, Unreal Engine 5, a unique player experience, I think you guys should shoot for the moon here. And instead of, looking to get it done in a year, really take your time and craft this with the community, get a nice slew of content coming in, different maps, different game modes. I don't know if you're wanting to do things like character customization. I do think that you kind of need it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm not confident that the developers are thinking about when I look at this page. But as a game itself, it's cool. Like, I didn't think I would like the Bodycam player controller movement as much as I do. Like I said, when you first jump in, you're going to be thrown for a loop. But I am curious to see what the community thinks when the game launches next week. Let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more FPS content. My name is Big Fry, and I'll see you on the next one.